This is Benzinga Live with Spencer Israel and producer AB. What's up, everybody? How we doing?
Someone told me buy high, sell higher.
Let's get Meta Hammond on the show to talk some IPOs. Jake Wujasek from Trend Spider. We have a
breaking news. What is up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Benzinga Live. Happy Tuesday. Hope everyone had a good time over on live trading. If you're joining us from there, I've got my Benzinga Pro pulled up, and I'm just looking at the big insignia ticker ISIG, up more than 80% right now on the session. Let's go ahead and pull this up, see why it's moving. Insignia system shares are trading higher as traders circulate a social media post on a potential short squeeze. So squeeze play, it's already up 80%, but we'll see throughout the day if it continues to keep riding. Let me know in the chat if you've been trading this at all, if you've been looking at it. And shout out Roy. Roy's got the right idea. Hit that like early. We're going to provide you some good content, some good value, so you can throw the likes in later once we earn it. But if you throw the like out now, we certainly appreciate that. Let's take a look at the overall markets real quick. So we see SPY is up today. We hit intraday highs, new all-time highs earlier today, trading off those highs a little bit. Let's take a look at QQQs. Q's coming down a little bit. Let me see. I don't know why. Let's try refreshing that. Oh, still nothing. All right, y'all. Let me know in the chat what you guys are looking at. Let's see. This guy said he was looking at Insignia last week when I noticed it dropped. I didn't know about the social media around it. Yeah, I mean, anytime you have one of these low float stocks that gets picked up on social media, there's always a potential for a short squeeze like this. It's just dangerous, and I would caution anyone that's trying to play this to get in now once it's already up, nearly 100%. Could it run from 22 to 30? Sure. Could it run from 22 to 40? Maybe. But what's more likely is if you buy up here that you're going to end up taking a loss on it. So if you do want to buy it up here, I would just recommend setting a tight stop loss order so that way you can't lose too much on it. Let's take a look at some other movers on the day. Disney having a good day so far. It looks like to me, we talked about Disney stock as a long-term investment a couple days ago, and basically saying, hey, look, Disney's not going anywhere, right? I'm very confident that in 5-10 years down the road, Disney is still going to be Disney, right? So I think the stock will be higher than it is today, 5-10 years down the line. The question is just how do you want to trade it, right? You got to always talk about time horizon on your trades. If you're looking for something for like a little month, 2-month swing trade, this does look nice. It does look like it come back up, but I like Disney more as just a long-term investment. A few other companies I've been watching today, Alibaba. Let's go down to a little 5 minutes so we can see what we're doing here. Trading lower again. Again, we've talked about this, that we're not going to go rush out there and try to catch the bottom in BABA, right? Because it just is in this sustained downtrend. If we go back out to a daily chart, we can see just how ugly this chart has been since last October, right? And I don't want to be the hero trying to catch the bottom. I'd rather wait to see a sustained uptrend. Let's see. Oh, Tiny Pie won solo trade on Facebook or on Meta platforms. Just that I like the calls that I pointed out were $343 yesterday. Today you could have sold them for more than $700, so about 100% gain. But it does look like Facebook's kind of run out. Some of the legs have come out beneath the stock throughout the day because we reached a high of 352 earlier, and now we're at 349. But I still expect to see strength in Facebook over the next few weeks. We talked about this yesterday. Facebook is well off its highs of about $380 down at 350, but all the other major indices, so whether you're looking at SPY, QQQ, are basically at all-time highs. So that's just showing me that, hey, Facebook has room to catch up with these other big name tech stocks, whether it's Amazon, whether it's Google, whether it's Nvidia. I like Facebook here, and all indicators point that Facebook had a very strong Christmas with the Oculus. That Oculus was a very popular gift choice over the holiday. Let's see. Let's get some tickers in the chat. Let me know what you're looking at. We'll go ahead and pull up any tickers from the chat, talk about some stocks. We'll look at some big headlines of the day. Kind of a slower week this week with it's still being a holiday week. I've got the Benzinga Newswire up here. So if you're unfamiliar, Benzinga Pro, this is the platform I'm on right now. It's really a all-in-one comprehensive way to kind of get information about stocks and which stocks you want to trade, right? So this is the live news feed. So we can see headlines pop in here, and right here on the left side, you can see the ticker that the news headline is related to. This one's interesting. Ex-NFL star Marvin Washington calls psilocybin the next big moonshot for athletes and society. So we've been talking a lot about the psychedelic space, right? We've seen this happen with cannabis about 5-10 years ago, where it was so early stage that a lot of interest for investors, but then there's almost a time when you can get in too early, right? And right now with cannabis, and I was talking about this yesterday as well, that it's hard because I think a lot of these names in cannabis that actually are good investments, you won't really see the returns that you're looking for until we see some more changes in, the safe banking regulation and federally legalized. And I think it's pretty much the same with psilocybin and any psychedelic medicine, that it's going to be a while before we start seeing, revenue come in from these companies. We start seeing the FDA approving some of these drugs. So I like that space because I've talked to a few executives from different companies, including the Cybin CEO. And basically in the mental health space, there's been no real advancements in medicine or technology over the last 20 years or so, right? The same SSRIs that doctors prescribe for, anxiety, depression today are essentially the same drugs from 20 years ago. So people are looking for a new way to try to tackle this mental health crisis. And a lot of people are putting money and efforts behind the psychedelics being that solution. So we will see that space continue to grow. But from an investor standpoint, I'm going to wait till we get a little bit more further along in that field before I start saying, okay, this is I'm going to go buy Cybin stock or MindMed stock, right? There are a lot of options out there. So let me know in the chat what you think about, the psychedelic space in general. All right. We've got some tickers in the chat now. Yeah, Richard Judge, it has been a slow 2.5 hours for volume. I mean, like I said, this week, it's just end of the year, holiday week. You can't expect too much. We saw some increased volatility in the market a week or two back, and now we're kind of slowing down a little bit. But pop a bull. Let's pull up AHR and let's pull up FuelCell. AHR, if you watch the show, you know that this is one that we actually gave out, or Ben from Story Trading came and joined us and gave this stock out. I think down here, like back at $6 or something. Then we saw it run all the way up to a high of about 26, 27. Very strong. It looks like, let's go down to a little shorter time frame. I mean, if we can hold these levels, I like it to come back up to those previous all-time highs. I would wait to see if we continue to move lower, because that's certainly a possibility. If you're in this stock now, I would just recommend setting a stop loss like right at $20 or so, because if it break, or right here, 2050, if it breaks below here, then it's got room to drop all the way down to around $19. But if we can stay above, I would say this spot right here, this 2130, then we're in good waters. So again, that's how I would play it if I was in AHR right now, which I'm not. I would set a stop loss right around here, right around 250, and know that if we reach there, that it's more likely that we're going to continue to move down. But if we can keep some strength, then I think we could easily run back up to those previous all-time highs. Okay, let me see. Doors R Us is saying, looking at my neighbor getting out of her Jeep with Halara pants, I need to buy their stock. I'm not familiar with Halara. Is that a publicly? I don't know. We'll figure it out. I like that though. Like anytime I see something in the real world, where I'm like, oh, I'm noticing more and more people are wearing this, or I'm noticing more and more people are buying this gadget or this cell phone, then it's sometimes a very intuitive way to trade, right? To understand that you're recognizing a trend in real time and you can take advantage of that in the markets. All right, Papa Bowl. I got one more for Papa Bowl. We're gonna look at FuelCell. Oh man, yeah. Let's go down. Let's go back to a daily. I mean, we see this stock has just gotten so beaten up. Like everything else back in January and February earlier this year, FuelCell ran up and nice. But what I will say is I like this anytime you can see a clear, sustained bottom, and it looks like we're at that bottom again. That, hey, we haven't dipped below this level since back in July. So this is actually a great call out, Papa Bull, because what you can do here is put a trade out there. And then again, like we talked about with AHR, put a tight stop loss, because if we do break this level that we've been in since January, we can go find the low right here. Looks like the low was about $5.55. So we're at about $6 right now, 45 cents away from those lows. If you put a stop loss there and buy it now, you can basically say, okay, if we break this level and go down there, I'm taking the risk off. You might lose a few percent, but it's not a big deal. But the upside is that we could maybe see this swing back up and get some legs and have a reversal and at least get back up to this previous spot of $11. So Papa Bull, great shout out, because I like the way this chart looks. My only caution would be just like, hey, we could see this trade in this channel on this level for a while, especially with lower volatility. So it's not a surefire thing that like, hey, this is going to reverse and come back up right now. But as long as we don't break below that level, that $5.50 level, then this chart looks good. So Papa Bull, let me know in the chat what you were looking at with FuelCell. Sorry, just catching up on the chat here. Yeah, Steve, were you talking about Lululemon, the Halara pants? I don't know. All right. Richard Judge is saying he owns MindMed long term. Again, and Richard, I like that's Mastermind. I like these psychedelic plays long term. Again, it's just like what I said. What I've found with the cannabis stocks is it's possible to be kind of too early, right? You can invest in some of these stocks now and be sitting on a loss for a while before you're. Oh wait, sorry, I think I got the wrong ticker pulled up. MNMD, that is MindMed, right? Yep, Mind Medicine. You can be sitting on a loss for a while before it turns into a gain. I mean, which is fine as if you're going for that long-term investment, right? If you're buying it now knowing, okay, hey, I can sit on a loss for a while because in 5, 10, 15 years from now, the stock will be higher than it is today. I'm waiting on these psychedelic names. I'm waiting until we get some more news. Oh, Papa, earnings tomorrow for FuelCell. All right, let's put that trade out there. Like I said, tight stop loss at 550. If it drops below there, we know we're out of the trade. But I did like the looks of that chart, at least on a swing trade. Melanie, hello. How's it going? Let us know in the chat what you're trading, Melanie, today. Tony, all right, yeah, let's do another quick check-in on Insignia. It hasn't really moved much since the last time we checked in on it. Again, I would just caution anyone out there that's trying to go buy this while it's already up, about 100% on the day. But if you do, just set a tight stop loss and you're looking for that squeeze to continue, up to $25, $30 or so. So definitely a great move for Insignia here. Short squeeze getting picked up all over social media. So we'll keep watching this throughout the rest of the day. All righty. Oh, I got my man Money Mitch here. Once Money Mitch gives me the sign that he's ready, I'll go ahead and bring Money Mitch on and we'll talk some trades. Oh, he's ready. He's got a nice little glass of orange juice too.
Pinkies on up, guys. Pinkies on up, guys. I hope you guys are enjoying the day. Today we nailed a nice long on AMC. You know it, the apes out there. Yes, I went long AMC. Can you believe that, AB?
No, I mean it's let's see what AMC is doing.
Was able to make money on it today. starting to crack down now, but right out the gates, it was a nice look from.
At one point it was up like 4%. Now it's down about 2.5%.
And the flip is definitely intense out there.
100%. All right. RT wants us to check out Tesla. I mean, it's Tesla. What else can you say, right? Let's go to a daily chart. So here's what I think is interesting about Tesla is you can draw a trend line from here all the way up, and you can see if you, on that trend line. Here, let me see.
AB getting technical with it.
Yeah, I'm trying to find
those nil days paying off, right?
where I can draw the line. It won't let me draw the line right now. But anyway, if you can see what I'm saying, that from here to here, it has this trend line, and you can see every time that it's gotten overextended and popped above that trend line, it's come back down and fallen to that trend line perfectly. And we're seeing that right now again, right? If you draw the, oh, here we go. Let me do this. So just like, this isn't perfect, but something like that, where every time we get overextended on this trend line, it comes back down and then bounces off of there again. So I'm expecting Tesla at some point in the next, few weeks to come back down to this trend line. That's not saying I'm going out and shorting it today, buying puts on it. That's always dangerous with Tesla. But I do feel pretty confidently that we will come back down to this trend line. And when we do, we will bounce from there. So I'm adding Tesla to my watch list, just knowing that, hey, look, we have this, line in the sand that we can kind of go off of. And eventually it will come back down here. And then once it does, we can play it to bounce off of there. Because it's always easier for me to know when a stock is going to bounce off that trend line than when is it going to come down. Because it's going to keep going up here, like we saw down here, and then finally reverse back down to it. Dollars a share, it was a little bit overextended, then came down to where? Right exactly on that trend line and bounced again off of there.
Yeah, definitely one to keep on watch. I'd be looking for that pullback closer towards the 1,000. I think that's close towards that line that you're drawing, but you can't really see the line too much there. 1,000. You see how it kind of lines up with the 1,000 pullback?
Yeah, 100%.
That's kind of the level that I'd be looking for.
Yep. And it looks like we do have Matt Hammond here, so we'll take a few minutes to talk some IPOs. We kind of got a crazy show today because we had some guests canceled, had some guests come in. So I'm going to go ahead and bring Matt on here in a couple minutes once he gives me the sign that he's ready, so we can go ahead and knock out some of these IPOs, and then we'll move forward. We got Christian Fromhurst from Tribeca Trade joining us at about 12:35. I believe, or maybe 12:30. And then after that, Tim Quas from Market Structure Edge will be joining us at 1:30. So
perfect.
Yeah. Well, we've got a good show today, Mitch. How was live trading?
It was not bad. I mean, like I said, I had traded AMC. I also traded this KNDI, which is a former parabolic mover. I lost twice on that one. Really small losses, but I mean, hey, AMC paying out really good. I mean, we made, I think, what is that, 70 cents on AMC today. So not a bad trade at all if you're able to nail that AMC. Looks like they're getting talks in chat about Lucid also being mentioned 2022. Maybe we can talk about with Matt what has been maybe the best IPO of the year or the worst IPO of the year. Those could be a cool question to ask Matt. I'm sure he'll have a good answer for us.
Yeah, no, we're gonna do both. We're gonna do both. Sorry, we're gonna talk about the best and worst IPOs of 2021. And we're also going to look forward to 2022 and seeing what are the most anticipated, the best IPOs to look forward to for 2022. So without further ado, let's go ahead and bring Matt on the show. Matt, how you doing?
Man, I had a bit of a rough week or so. Blew myself up on a trade, but, knocked down but not knocked out. And looking back on things, it's still an incredibly profitable year. The IPO trade was for the most part on fire, and I just got myself, we'll go over it a little bit. I've kind of kicked myself enough about it, talked about it enough, replayed it over in my head, and ready to kind of move on from it. But certainly a lesson for myself and for anybody else that's worth revisiting a little bit. So we'll get to that in a bit. But I am looking forward to kind of regrouping, cleaning the slate and getting a fresh start in 2022. So before we look forward to the future, we can recap what has been a historic year in the IPO front. We had, and I can share let me get my screen up here.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Share screen. Sorry. Here we go.
Pull down ABs.
Share. Something's not working right. Share this. Get a little bit of a hang up here on the StreamYard.
If it doesn't work, what you can do is just close your browser altogether and then rejoin and see if that helps.
All right, I'll be back in a second.
All right, but like Matt's talking about, definitely the IPOs were really hot early on in the year. Starting to switch on over a little bit now that we're starting to see kind of a little bit concerned, right, into the market about valuations. I think this is the time where you have to start looking, is the IPO trade still on? That's what we need to look for. I'm sure Matt's looking at those trends, and he'll talk a little bit about them. But something that I'm keeping an eye on is the IPO trade going to be on for next year? Are SPACs going to come back? That kind of thing. Are we going to get those kind of assets to make moves on up?
I know you want SPACs to come back, Mitch.
You know it. My thing is that I know there's some winners there. Not all of them. It's just like IPOs, right? Not all of them are trash. Not all of them are gold. And you have to find out which ones those are. Sometimes it takes a little bit of time to find out which ones those are that have the gold and which ones don't. Let's go ahead. Let's bring on Matt back. I think he's ready for us.
There we go. We've got a screen.
All right, got our screen up here. Let me get this good one here. Resume slideshow. What's going on? I don't know why it's doing that. Okay. Okay, well, you can see it this way anyway. So in 2021, we had a record number of IPOs, including, if you include the SPACs, we had over 1,000 IPOs. 600 of those were from SPACs. So, you still had 500 something IPOs. They were just pure IPOs, and over $315 billion was raised. The previous high was, I think, around the internet bubble in 2000. Something like 200 billion was the previous record. So the previous record got smashed. There was also a lot of foreign companies listing this year. We had 60 foreign companies, and 30 of them were from China. That's something we're going to talk about a little bit later here. That we saw. There was a time at which the Chinese IPOs were really hot, and that was kind of in the first half of the year. We haven't had a Chinese IPO since October. After DD and the crackdown, we saw things really cool down, and that that is something that everybody's watching. There were some announcements today, and that's just something to take into consideration. I think once DD had its kind of bomb debut, not as bomb as the good way, bomb as in the catastrophic, explosive, destructive force that was an IPO that cratered. We saw a lot of it reverberated across the market, and everything from Alibaba to Tencent to Baidu, everything kind of fell out from there. And I think there's a lot of continued trepidation and fear in the Chinese market. And I'm not sure this is one of those opportunities where you want to, try to be greedy when others are fearful. Anyone who tried to catch that knife early on is still sitting there with a pile of blood on their hands. And maybe we got a little bit of a inflection point, a turnaround point here with the kind of news release over the last, I think it's 24 hours, where the Chinese government has come out with some guidelines to really say, hey, here are the rules, here's what we're going to be, the expectations. But I think there was a lot of light shed on what these variable interest assets really are, and understanding that a Chinese IPO is not, owning shares of a Chinese IPO is not the same, or a Chinese stock is not the same as owning shares of an American company, and that you are not owning any really, directly tied asset to the company. You're owning something that is much more theoretically tied to a company's value than when you have, you know, even an ADS, American Depository Share, or a, you know, stocks in an American company. Something I've been certainly paying a lot of attention to. I lived in China for 10 years. I kind of foresaw some of this distrust and fallout happening, and I will continue to monitor that. But I sold out of all my Chinese positions actually right before the DD IPO, and will continue to limit my exposure, except for some kind of stealth and you know, low float IPOs, which I'm going to play a lot more conservatively than I have in the past, and we'll get to that in a little bit. Okay, so I want to look at, Aaron mentioned the IPO winners on 2021.
Yeah,
it's kind of hard to go back. I mean, what's that?
I was just going to say, we got to wrap this around probably 12:25 or so. So let's try to like rip through these pretty quickly.
Sure. We're going to try to talk about some trends here. The IPO winners, there's a lot of winners. It was a little bit difficult to go back and just kind of recap which ones were real winners and which ones were real losers, because I'm not really buying the IPO to hold for a long time. Very few of these were actually debuts where you would have wanted to buy on day one and not seen you know, dips or other opportunities to buy in. Some of them that were kind of the clear winners, but you go down this list here, some familiar names: Roblox, Dutch Brothers, Affirm, Doximity, Mondays, Portillo's, DigitalOcean, Cadre, dLocal, Rivian, Confluent. A lot of these were tech companies. Tech and growth still is sort of the thing to buy. And one of the things that was an emerging trend was that when the market is kind of weak, that's where you have an opportunity to get IPOs at a good price. When the market's strong, the debut price gets inflated, and you don't have a lot of chance to, you know, you're going to want to take pretty quick gains. When you buy in on a weak market, or you know something, you know, about a name that other people aren't really, you know, familiar with. I think Dutch Brothers and Portillo's, some people really love those companies, were able to recognize the opportunity. Other people didn't really know what they were, and that kind of insider insight or kind of like familiarity gave people opportunities to take profits. But a lot of these that did well, you know, you kind of look at them and they made sense. The ones that didn't do well, except for
go back to that slide one second,
Yep.
Matt, because the one thing that I noticed that I wanted to point out, look at Doximity, and this was actually a stock that we had on while they IPO'd, the day they IPO'd. It debuted, I don't know if this is correct, it debuted at 41.17 and never dipped below that, which is
the all-time low, yeah.
Which is
and that
very
was one
rare.
that we called out as a very high conviction play. I went in with a very big position on the debut. I think I got out at like 50 to 52 the next day. I'm not generally holding these long term. This one, perhaps, you know, there's several on this list that holding longer would have been, you know, very profitable. But I'm looking for that 1 to 2 day pop. That's where I feel safe on these to take profits. That's where my win percentage is very high. And yeah, Doximity was one that when you looked at the lineup of, you know, where it, I think the pricing was something around 28. They gave a lot of allocations to the doctors and physicians, which you would assume are people who like the product, love the product, and are not just going to flip it right away. It was fairly conservative float to begin with. It got a lot of positive press. I mean, people loved this app, and it was telemedicine, you know, during COVID. It had a lot of things lined up for it that and something like 80 or 90% of physicians use this. So it had a lot of, it had all the, it checked all the boxes.
All right, well,
When
sorry to slow. I was going to say, sorry for slowing you down, bringing up Doximity. Let's go ahead and get to the next slide. Keep it ripping.
Okay, the losers. And this is where I really like to focus, because it wasn't the winners that really ended up defining my year. It was one or two losses, and really one huge loss that I can only chalk it up to really just my mental state of mind was not focused. I had a lot of, you know, distractions and other things going on. But if you can avoid the losers and string together a lot of winners, there were more big winners than there were kind of losers that might have. And I really put here the losers that there were a lot of losers that were bigger than these losers. But these are the losers that people, I think, one way or another thought would do well, or were kind of like spotlight IPOs. In other words, Coinbase, a lot of people had a lot of interest in this one. It was one of the most hyped and was a direct listing. But that IPO, I think people were a little bit shocked by how it performed. It did give a win opportunity. It debuted at 381 and hit 429 about 15, 20 minutes after the debut. But from there, it just went down and it's never come back all the way. And one of the lessons here for me was that when you have a high float, when you have a direct listing, especially when it's, about as hyped up, and I think Bitcoin was breaking into all-time highs during the same time. And it was sort of like a sell the news event. And we've seen it now with Rivian, with Coinbase, with Snowflake. A lot of these big name IPOs will do well for about 20 or 30 minutes and then they correct. And after that, you don't really know. Rivian managed to rally for a few days. Snowflake rallied a bit. Coinbase did not. And this one kind of stuck out to me because people expected it to be a really good opportunity. The thing that kind of, I think, threw this one for a loop was they did a follow-up offering like the week after the direct listing, which was a bit, it ticked off a lot of people. Right. But it was one of those, these are all, to me, the ones that you learn the most from. You learn the most from the losers. If you played these, you certainly learned something from the fallout of them. Coupang had a lockup period that was kind of buried in the S1. There was like a 5-day lockup period. They also did the way they chose the IPO allocations to the investment banks was abnormal. So whenever you see something abnormal like this, if you can dig it up, you have a reason to believe that maybe you should stay away from this one. It also showed me that, hey, these foreign IPOs, we can't expect that retail investors in America are going to be hot on them. Remitly, it's sort of an also ran. The product is not unique. Despite the good numbers, they're bleeding losses. And we've seen, when you see something debut at such a high premium, maybe stay away from it unless it's really, really got, the kind of carry through that everyone's going to get excited, like what we saw with Rivian.
I have a question.
DD was just dumpster fire, and some of these other ones they didn't. Rent the Runway might sound interesting, but it's not. It's not what is unique about it. Poshmark is pretty similar vein.
How many of these are Chinese IPOs versus US IPOs?
So of these, the only one I put on the list was DD, and that was. There were actually a lot of Chinese IPOs that ended up doing pretty well. There are also a lot that didn't do that well. The list of, if you just look up top performing IPOs, they're going to show you relation, the current price related to the IPO price. And the IPO price isn't really, what we were able to buy it at as retail investors. And it doesn't really show where the stock went between the IPO and now. For IPO trading, if you're buying the debut, you are, looking to cash out either pretty quickly or on some kind of peak. So some of these, like even of these winners, you look at this list, you got a firm, debuted at 90, but then it dipped a bit. It wasn't an easy trade. It went down as low as 46.50 before then it caught fire and went up to 176, and now it's pulled back a bit. So it's a little bit difficult to look at it, at this moment in time and say, okay, well, who are the winners and losers? Especially when you're talking about more short-term trades where these dips and, peaks, where did those dips and peaks come? Did those peaks come immediately after, like Doximity peaked right away? Now it's pulled back quite a bit. But if you somehow bought that and held it all the way through the peak, you did pretty well.
Well, to wrap up the IPO losers, I wonder, did you see any trend inconsistent with all of them? Does it maybe have correlation with the SPY? Does that have something to do with it? Maybe. I'm just wondering if you saw any of these trends, Matt.
The trends that I saw were most of these outside of Coupang and DD. A lot of these had businesses that weren't kind of the walled garden. Coinbase is not even the biggest crypto trading platform. It's if people see it that way, Remitly. There's a lot. I mean, TransferWise, PayPal has Zoom now. It's not, despite growth, it's nothing particularly unique. Rent the Runway and Poshmark, okay, they sell used, or they're basically very repeatable business models. So despite growth, and a lot of these have, the trifecta of baseline financials. If we see, net net income negative, negative gross profits, and cash flow negative, those three seem to be either needing to be moving in the positive direction, or positive, or at least some of those positive. When we see all three of those negative and moving in the wrong direction and a repeatable business model, it doesn't matter how strong the brand name is. The brand name love will not carry it very far. And we saw that in the beginning of the year, some of that was forgivable, but the market was insanely hot. And there's sort of these periods where the market is hot, but you can tell it's kind of cooling down. And that's when you see IPOs debut a little bit hot, too hot. Bumble was a great example. It debuted in February last year, and its debut price was way too high. I think it priced at 36 and debuted at 76 or something. And it just couldn't hold that price. It went up a little bit for a few days and then crashed down. So definitely market conditions affect the debut price, but it's almost it's sort of like when the market's too hot, that might be a time to be careful. When the market is cool, that's when you have the opportunity to have a lower risk play. You might not get that pop rate on day one, but some of these like Confluent, another one, Global E, was one of the best performing of the year. It debuted in a pretty cold market, took a few days, but then it went straight up. We just saw recently it was HashiCorp. HashiCorp debuted at like 81 in a really cold day in the middle of December, or the beginning of December. And then finally last week, or I think yesterday, hit and broke 100. So playing these in the cooler markets might be, you're going to get less of a debut premium, but that gives you more upside potential, in my opinion, especially for the strong ones. So if we get a kind of more sanity returning to the market and a cooler market, I actually like the IPO trade better, but it might be something where you're not going to get those pops right on day one. You might have to be holding for a week or two for things to to come around. So certainly the market conditions affect this. I'm not sure that just because the market's hot, when the market's hot, there is kind of more of an immediate pop, but there's a higher debut premium, so there's maybe less room for the upside. I'm going to be certainly analyzing some of my positions and how I play these a little bit more, because there are opportunities to take a longer time, time view of these for the stronger names. And I think I'm going to skip this whole low float thing. Just, realize that low float IPOs, they might have gotten played out a little bit. When you see things where, if they're not available on several trading platforms, the high retail allocations, an absurd debut price, I think I probably just tried to play this way too big. And I think actually with the low float debut, you can affect the price yourself. So I got a little bit of tunnel vision. My mental state wasn't great. My risk assessment was bad. And low float IPOs about 2 months ago were really great. And I think everybody flocked to them, and then kind of killed the opportunity.
Got it. Well, Matt, I don't know if you're going to be able to come on next week, but if you are, we can go ahead and look at some of these 2022 IPOs next week, because we do have to wrap here. We got our next guest waiting.
No problem. Yeah. I'll send out a newsletter kind of, if you sign up for IPOwarriors.com, I'm going to send out I'll put together a newsletter later this week. I'll talk a little bit about the year in review, and looking forward to 2022. But I think we're going to see, just at the high level, fewer, Chinese listings. I think we'll see fewer SPACs. But I think that there's a strong slate already on the table here. I mean, if you just looked at these and picked the top 5 from these and played them right, you could make a you can double your money on this kind of stuff. We're looking for 10
Ooh,
to 20%
I know.
wins.
Mitch is excited. Mitch is excited for the Epic Games one. Invest in some Fortnite. We're going to be looking at that. All right, Matt. Well, thank you for joining us. We've got IPOwarriors.com in the chat. Go click it out. Click it there to check it up and sign up for Matt's newsletter. It's also in the description. Thanks again, Matt, for coming on. Always a pleasure to have you.
All right. Thanks so much, guys. Have a good week.
No problem. All right, guys, that was Matt Hammond from IPO Warriors. Sorry, go check out the site. Sign up for his newsletter. We're going to be talking with Matt next week about some exciting IPOs coming up in 2022. You could kind of get a little tease there, a little taste of what's to come. Instacart, Epic Games, some big names there. Let's keep the show moving along, Mitch. I do see our next guest here, Christian Fromhertz from Tribeca Trade. If I get a little sign from him, maybe a thumbs up or something that he's ready, we'll go ahead and bring Christian on, see what he's watching. Christian's ready. Let's do it.
What's going on, guys? How you doing?
Good. Happy Tuesday. Thanks for taking time out of your day to join us.
Happy Tuesday. What is this, a little bit of a turnaround Tuesday from the recent equity strength that we've been seeing?
Yeah. The extreme rip, the Santa rally, right?
Yeah, well, it's last week we had a really nice turnaround Tuesday to the upside, but this kind of feels like a little bit of digestion on the tape, and by chance, a little bit of a breather that feels like that's going on, especially in your higher beta areas of the market today. It seems like those are kind of separating a little bit from what we've seen over the last few days.
Yeah, I could see that in a bunch of different stocks. Let's say like NVIDIA that had a strong day yesterday, just kind of taking a little bit of a breather. At least that's what we can see on the chart. Anything in kind of a certain industry that's standing out to you right now, Christian?
Yeah, a couple things. I mean, it's certainly been a lot of rotation, over the last few weeks, right? We've seen it kind of go from one group to another group. Seems like it's kind of been frustrating some traders where they're concentrated on a set group of stocks, and then you'll see, hey, so for example, today I see a lot of outperformance in the REITs. Right. I mean, that's not a really, sexy area for a lot of traders to be like, get really excited about the REITs outperforming, or even like what we saw a few weeks ago, which was that, a lot of the defensive areas of the market, the consumer staples, the utilities, right? Those are outperforming today. So those are areas that you can make some money in and you can kind of position in a little bit. But again, if you're set on like one group of stocks, we know that there's a lot of growth investors out there. That is not going to really, be to, bode well for them, with that type of rotation. But there are pockets of strength. The transports have been acting very well. I don't know what's going on right now, but the VIX seems to be ripping. So it kind of feels like the Fed, we've heard about the Fed possibly starting their tapering. It kind of feels like they're in there today, kind of reducing liquidity a bit. But that's just a guess. That's just a guess for today. But overall, like, I can show I can bring up my screen and we can go through some charts if you guys are.
Let's do it. That's what it's all about.
Down with that. All right, let me just figure that out really quick. Share screen.
Charts on charts. Can't go wrong.
All right, how's that? All right.
Perfect.
So we can see the S&P is just hanging out, down 18 basis points. The Qs are a little bit weaker today, so they're down about 0.5%. But I think, if you were, if you felt like you had to chase some names yesterday, like, you mentioned the semiconductors, right? I think that's a good chart to look at in NVIDIA, right? And let's see where it retraces for the day. So we did see this move in here. And what I find really interesting is, so a level that I'm watching would be right around this 298 level on the 1 hour, right? That would be a retracement kind of back to the breakout. And we'll see if we can kind of come in and bounce there. And it may end up being, for some names, it may end up be, a better spot than kind of chasing the strength yesterday. So that's kind of what I'm watching. Even like a name that I find that's looking really interesting on the weekly chart, which is, sticking with the semis, is Applied Materials, trying to take that next leg higher after kind of going sideways, breakout, consolidation. So if it hangs in here, and we're right at the middle of the day, then I would be interested in taking a shot at some of these names that have been super strong that are pulling back a little bit for the day.
Yeah, it looks like we might get some inside candles, right? I mean, inside candles can help, right?
Right.
Especially when we're seeing that momentum push like we got. yesterday, it's okay for stocks to take a little bit of a breather.
Yeah, and I think too, one of the things that I keep talking about is how much everybody has been. How much everybody's been talking about the Santa Claus rally. I don't remember a year where people have talked so much about the last. People were talking about the Santa Claus rally 2 weeks ago, and
they were talking about it in November.
Right, exactly. Oh, the Santa Claus rally, and you had to kind of remind people, hey, it's the last week of the year, and it's the first couple days of the new year. But so that to me makes me a little bit nervous when you see everybody talking about the same thing, because sometimes when everybody talks about it, it doesn't happen. But we got a nice start to the week yesterday. But I think one of the messages that I've been telling my folks in the trading room is, hey, do not buy into this, and without but you could be on the side of the seasonality, but you don't want to abandon your discipline, right? And continue to be smart in the trading environment. Don't just throw caution to the wind because there's a strong seasonal time frame in it. And I don't mind showing like my trading blotter too. You could see what's happened to me. A couple names that I got involved yesterday, right, that look like they might be starting to turn. I got stopped out in a couple trades. So that's part of the game, and it's part of how you kind of hang in there as a trader. And really kind of adapt to the situation, because one of the things that I've noticed, and I'm sure that you guys have noticed, is that there's been a nice pickup in the growth areas, which really got beaten up very hard over the last couple weeks. But some names are going to be are going to come back right away, and there's other names that are just going to have a difficult time, and they're going to actually not come back. So that's kind of the main question for that group, that I think you're going to find those where the institutional money will go back into some names and feel like, hey, that's a buying opportunity in this name or in that name. But other names are just, they're not going to come all the way back.
Definitely, I agree. I mean, one thing that we definitely saw was kind of a change in sentiment. For a while, growth was everything. Right. Now the rotation switched out. For a second there, some people were thinking fundamentals. We started looking at some lower PE names. We started seeing stocks like Clorox and defensive moves. And now we're looking back a little bit towards technology. One area that I'm definitely looking at, I don't know what your levels are there, Christian, maybe you can take a look for us on the Qs. How are you seeing on the Qs? Because to me, that 400 is so vital. As long as we can hold that on the pullback, I think we're still looking bullish. How do you see this chart?
Yeah, I agree with you. I have on my charts, which I use volume at price, right? And I have an indicator that maps that out for me to give me some really good resistance and support levels. So the breakout level, and again, you kind of have to put this market in perspective, right? We've had this huge move the last 5 days or so, and a check back, I think, would actually be not necessarily a bad thing. I have 400 spot 4.3, so I'm very close to your level, and I think that's fine too. You could use 400, and I like just using the that's a nice psychological level to use is the 400 level, and then we can kind of see what we do there, right? And that's important to kind of say, well, this was such a nice move, because sometimes you have traders say, oh geez, I missed this move. Well, you got to think about where the market is going rather than where it's been, and I think that 400 level is pretty spot on. So we'll see what we get for the rest of the day. If we chop around here, we just don't want to see a failure, right? We want to see an inside day, like you mentioned, and or some type of form of that, right? Meaning checking back into support level. So I'm kind of sitting on my hands a little bit today, because I don't think I want to chase the REITs today. I'm already positioned in some transports, which I think are acting very well. What's the name that I'm thinking? If you look at the rails, for example.
Yeah, CSX is doing good today.
Yeah, CSX is acting really well. I'm having a problem with my charts here, but if you go through this group, there you go. So you got a breakout in this one. It's outperforming for the day, up 60 basis points. So when you see the volatility today in the growth, and the Q's down 0.5%, what gives me a little bit of comfort is to look at these transports and say, hey, it's not that bad. UNP is also breaking out today too. So it tells me that, hey, we got some decent rotation on the tape again. JB Hunt is close to breaking out. CHRW. So there are plays in this space. I mean, this thing's up 1.4%, completely ignoring what's going on in tech today.
Yeah, I think that's important. I like how Christian's pointing out there. You can look at some industrials, the transport's still doing well, showing us that, yes, we are in a little bit of a fighting inflationary time. But if you really look at it overall, the economy is not looking that bad. One question that I have for you, Christian, and it's something that I struggle with and I'm trying to improve on, is dealing with the rotations. A lot of times I have some good swing trades. I'm trying to get up to my reward target. It's maybe, let's say 20 to 30%. We're in like 18% green. And a lot of times I'll start seeing the market rotate a little bit against me. And those are the times where this year I definitely learned maybe it might be best to just take what you got, wait for the rotation to come back in your favor, and then get back into some names. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question, because you have to adjust to what this tape is giving you. And, I generally, I'll try in my swing trades, and I'm more of a swing trader than I am a day trader. But, this environment the last couple of weeks has been really good for day trading. So you kind of have to for me, I have to put my day trading hat on a little bit more.
Different hats.
Yeah, exactly. Different hats, different tools in the toolbox. But I like taking targets in my swing trades. This way I'm locking in some profits. And I think not being too rigid, because I'll do that. I'll say, hey, I'm going to, I got into XYZ stock and I'm taking my first target, maybe a couple percent up, or, $3 or $4 up. And if I don't think I can get that by the end of the day, then if originally I was looking for a $3 or $4 target or a $5 target, I'm okay with taking a $2 target too. It's still money, and it may not be exactly as what I set out for, but you got to adjust, because it's better taking that $2 target yesterday versus getting stopped out $5 down today. And I think right now the way that I'm looking at the growth group is they're a little bit more guilty till proven innocent for me. And I'm a little bit more, as we cut, like if I put on a trade in the middle of the day and we get to the end of the day, right, and I'm looking at that trade, oftentimes I will force that first target because of the way that those growth names have been operating the last few weeks.
Got it. So Christian, are there certain sectors, I guess, that you're looking for strength in 2022, or are you just going to kind of play it by ear and wait and see?
I think, I continuously adjust. I do a lot of my research when the market is closed, during the week as well as on the weekend. And then there I'm looking for, I'll notice some of the rotations in different groups starting to outperform. But I basically kind of just take it week to week. I mean, there are certain areas and certain themes that I think are going to stick with us. The cyberspace. What the problem with the cyberspace is, it's very expensive. But I think that dips will get bought in certain names. Certain names are really outperforming. If you look at like an Accenture, right, a name that nobody talks about, right, versus a CrowdStrike, right, the money is going into some of those cheaper names. So I think that's going to be a theme. Palo Alto's been acting very well. So I think cybersecurity will continue to be a theme, but it may not be the whole group, right? I think the winners versus, the winners and losers are going to be separated, as we're seeing right now in a CrowdStrike and a Palo Alto, or an Accenture and a FTNT Fortinet. Go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, I was going to say, we were talking about Fortinet a lot yesterday, because that was just a chart that we saw, a ridiculously strong chart throughout the year. But I do have some news that was pointed out to me in the chat right now. I'm going to go ahead and take your screen down for a second, Christian.
Yeah, go ahead.
Throw mine up there. I'm looking at AMC right now. We see this big green candle. Here's why. AMC CEO Adam Aron reportedly pursuing GameStop partnership through GameStop's NFT marketplace platform. So that might be the most 2021 headline that we've gotten all year. It took us till the end of December to get it. But you've got AMC, you've got GameStop, you've got NFTs. The three biggest headlines of the year so far. So, we'll see what impact that has on AMC stock throughout the rest of the day. But I don't know. Anytime you see a news headline like that, we've seen the ones from AMC saying they're going to accept crypto, all these things, So I think Adam Aaron knows exactly what he's doing when he says these things. But like I said, we're just gonna be watching AMC for the rest of the day to see how this impacts the stock price.
We'll see what happens with the AMC. I traded it earlier today, so we'll see if it gets back up.
All right, back to your screen, Christian. Sorry 29. About that.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of interesting, right? I mean, so there are two stocks now. I don't know. they're two stocks that together don't look very good. I mean, I get it, right? I mean, it seems you put the two meme stocks together, but I would think AMC would want to hey, let's go into something like a Live Nation, or I don't know, right? Something that,
I think their best option is streaming services. That's their best option. I mean, really,
yeah, it's true.
Take away the negative outlook, right? The negative outlook is streaming. Why not have your own service, and then you can take away that negative outlook on the stock?
Right. So I don't know. Two stocks that, I don't know. I don't want to say anything bad. I don't want anybody to go after me on Twitter. But
no, it's how it is. I see them bearish also. I called the 200 level for GME. Once that broke, it went to bear mode for me. AMC, the $40 level was that level for me. And then from those points, they need to recover. If not, they still look in the bearish trend, even in the kind of the intermediate or longer term. Let's ask you one more question. I think that's important here is going forward. One of the things that I've been looking at, and I think a lot of people are starting to notice, is more market breadth, right? Mm-hmm. Which stocks drive the rallies? And I think that's the most important thing going into the next year is paying attention. Like you said, there's going to be some winners and losers. There's going to be some times where we see not just the whole basket go up like we saw kind of this year with I'll mention EVs. There was a time where you could have traded probably any EV and it was going on its way up. Yep. But there's going to be some separation there now. I think you'll start seeing certain leaders and certain losers. Is that what you're kind of looking forward to with the market breadth kind of showing the rallies?
Yeah, and I think as well as to go back on the previous question, you asked me about themes and things that I'm looking at for 2022. I mean, I think 2022 could be a really interesting year to trade, and I think that we've seen. Looking back and reflecting at this year, we've seen a little bit of everything with the market, with the overall market up as much as it is. We've seen, we went through a lot of different situations, just as you mentioned with the EV space and so forth. We might see it could be some theme that kind of catches for this year. And I think you want to be on your toes. You want to be objective. And at the same time, when you see an explosion in names like that, we also saw that with the clean energy names at some point too. You have to be, I think one of the things, and I hope that people really learn from this year and take, some of those lessons that we saw play out through 2021 and build on them. And if you do start to see an explosion in a certain area where everything is going up, it should tell you hey, play the trend, play the theme for as long as it lasts, but then realize when it's over and the market goes on to the next thing that it wants to pay attention to. Because if you've been able to do that this year, you've done very well. But if you've been stuck watching the same names, and once those names lose momentum, right, I think that you got to realize when the music is playing versus when the music stops playing, and you got to kind of eject from that trade. And I think that's one of the things that's going to make this year so different is that we are going to have the Fed doing something different. So, making sure that you're in the right names, even if you think one group is going to be a theme and you think that that's going to be a place to be. I think you really have to trade disciplined, and you've got to separate the winners from the losers and realize that, the institutions where they're putting their money and taking out of their money, taking out money in certain other names, they're going to be more selective with what the Fed is doing this year.
I agree.
100%. All right, Christian, well, I know you got to go. Have a good rest of your Tuesday. Look forward to getting you back on, if not next week, the week after.
Happy New Year's too, man.
Yeah, and happy New Year.
Get to see you.
Happy New Year, guys, and happy holidays. Thanks, guys, for having me on. I appreciate it.
Of course, we love having you. All right, y'all. That was Christian Fromhertz from Tribeca Trade. Go give him a follow. I'll find his Twitter. I'll post it in there in the chat.
Definitely check it out, guys.
But Mitch, how about that AMC GameStop news? Hasn't really done much for the stock yet. Well, we got the little pop, up to about $28, and now coming back off here.
Yeah, I was looking at the volume to see if there was any like big orders going through on the tape, and I see 1,000 orders, but nothing like, let's say 10,000 or 20 or 50,000 share order. Someone taking a big shot. That's what I would like to see out of AMC here. It's definitely trying to get out of this little flag pattern that it just popped out of, this 28.11 resistance. Let's see if that holds right now. That was a support that it kind of broke through and then kind of coming back. Let's see if it holds on the upside and we can get AMC to start trending back up. GME should trade also hand in hand. So if you want to take a look at that one, you can take a look at it right now. It just did a pop up and then pulled back.
Yeah, do you want to go ahead and pull up your screen?
Trade hand in hand. Yeah, they got you. So GME is trading right now. It did that little pop when AB mentioned the news, right? And pulled back now. You want to see GME follow AMC. AMC is kind of leading it up. It did the first move and continued to move up. Watch AMC continue to lead GME. For me, I would probably go for GME versus AMC because it's lagging. So if I see AMC turn around, I can get out of GME probably with a profit. That's just the way I would attack it on a day trade. But definitely GME setting up there above 150s. I think it could get strong here. AMC pushing up there towards 28.40s, 28.38. We'll see if it can get on up there and keep holding 28.11s on pullbacks.
Beautiful. Mitch, if you're cool with taking some tickers from the chat for a second, I have to pop off for like 2 minutes, but I'll be back on.
No worries. Go ahead. We'll go ahead and I'll take some stocks from the chat. I know that someone mentioned a good one that I wasn't able to give to Christian. I wanted to go to it, so I'm sorry for not being able to cover that chart. I know that you put it up in the chat. I think it was FLII. I'm looking up. I'm trying to roll up. There it is. I got you, Hans. Hans, I saw that. So let's go ahead and let's take a look here. TFII. This is a trucking company. And if you take a look at the daily and weekly, that's when you're going to really see how bullish it is. On the daily, it doesn't trade that much volume. But if you look on the weekly, it has a nice setup, has gone up multiple times to break out, held a nice support here of 104, 103s, now pushing on up. I think this can come back out and take 118s. So it's not a bad looking chart there for your TFII, that trucking TFI International. And I do like trucking stocks. I literally was talking about some yesterday. Ones that I liked was USAK. So this is US Trucking. I'm looking for this one to have a good day. Another one that I gave was Ryder. So Ryder is another one that I'd be looking for to continue moving. This is a rental leasing service, and they rent a lot of trucks to businesses. I think this is one that you can keep a watch on. Nice little 50-day moving average down below it. So maybe like an 80 entry, looking for a move back to 90. It's not a bad one. Ryder system. What's up out there? How you guys doing? New Men TV, new to the show. Hey, welcome to it, man. Jim Cruz, market just woke up. Yeah, hey. Just let it keep waking up. Master of Stonks. Disney does look good today. Let's take a look how it's looking now. I was taking a look at it earlier to see if I was going to maybe make a trade through the VWAP. It's coming back through the VWAP. What do you guys say I take a trade on Disney here? You guys throw up in the chat. Throw up some likes. Let me see where we're at. Maybe I'll take a trade for us. I normally am already gone, not trading here, but hey, I'm hanging out with you guys. So smash the like button. If we get to 150 likes, I'll take a trade on Disney. I do like the trade right here. I would look for a little pullback to 55.25s, but I would definitely trade off that 55 and look for it to hold, push back towards 56.50s. CNBC pumping Disney. Hey, Jeffrey, they can help me out. I won't be mad. We got 90 likes. We need about 60 more. So you guys smash the like button. You guys want to see me take a live trade here on Benzinga Live. All right, so let's go ahead. Let's go also to Baba. Baba being called out by Mitchelson. I like the name too, being a Mitch. But let's take a look here. Baba, what's going on in the Alibaba game? Looks like you have a bottoming pattern here. This is definitely a bear pennant here. Just kind of going down here. You can see this trend line. You're going to see a horizontal line here, that shows you that it's a bear pennant. Going to look to get the breakdown here. If it holds this and reverse up to 116.50s, then yeah, you can look for the upside. But right now it's looking like it wants to break down and continue breaking down here. Baba, if you're going short, yeah, it looks great there, Mitchelson, but I wouldn't be taking a long somewhere there. You still in KNDI? No, I actually stopped out at break even. I was a little upset on that one. It came back to 71, and I got out there at the break even price point of 371. I had an average cost of 371.5, but really no loss on the name. Earlier, I had the loss on the name, which was about $22, but we made a great trade on AMC today. So $36 on the downside for KNDI and $234 on the upside for AMC. Let's go ahead. Let's take a look here. What other stocks are being mentioned in the chat? SPIR. Did we get enough likes for me to go after Disney? Let me take a look here. We got 99. We need 50 more likes, guys. So smash up that likes if you guys want me to go after a stock here. Disney seems to be setting up well. Yeah, I like the look, really. SPIR being mentioned in the chat. Let's take a look here. What are we seeing? Bottoming pattern also. Let's take a look at the daily. Daily has it's trying to come back. I mean, but this has really been a dog of a stock. Can it come back? Yeah, but I mean, there's really nothing that I'd be predicting here. Just either upside or continued downside momentum. Doesn't look like it's changed its trend. Doesn't look like it's trying to break out of a trend. Doesn't look like it's trying to break down of a trend. It's just still trending on the downside. Hood. Where's the hood, traders? Where's the hood? Hood, I'm actually looking to get down towards 15, guys. I got no problem with hood, but I'll tell you right now, I don't think that some people are buying up at these levels. I think it might get down towards 15. Into the teens is where I was really been looking for in hood. I think that there I can go off of $10, but definitely hood is not in favor right now. And for that sake, I mean, you can also look at coin bouncing up there, but really pulling back down today. Daily pulling it back down. We'll see what happens in coin. But these stocks haven't really been strong. So we'll see if we can continue moving. Hood is not looking hot right now. Definitely not looking hot. All right, guys, let's keep going. Let me take a look here. How are we on the like game? We're at 107. We need about, we need 43 more likes here. Let's take a look at Disney. How are we doing on Diz? I wanted to take it already, but let's take a look here. How are we doing here? We're pulling back towards the levels that I'd probably take the buy off of. You guys smash that like button if you guys want me to take that buy. We'll see what we get on up there. ISIG ran up on the Reddit news this AM. I think that was ISRG. Hysterical. Hey, Reddit news can make stocks move, guys. You guys have a stock you guys want to take a look at? Throw it up in the chat. We'll take a look today. Can you take a look at Netflix, says RT. All right, I'll take a look at Netflix. Let me see how the likes are doing. Did we get on up there? Can we get at least 125 here in the next minute? We need 10 more, 11 more likes, guys. Smash that like button. Support me as I support you guys. Let's take a look here. We want to take a look at Netflix. Okay, so Netflix is on a downturn right now, but it's kind of going sideways. I wouldn't really consider this too much of a bearish pattern unless it breaks the hourly low here. The hourly low is towards 611.14. You could say 611 on the downside. You want to see it break out of the trend on the upside towards 620s. We'll see what happens on Netflix. Right now, it's still in a bearish pattern, but could get bullish if it starts signaling up past 630 on the upside. Welcome, Newman. It's good to see you guys new on. It's good always to have some new faces in here. Twitter beatdown. Will it survive another market beatdown? Nah, we'll see. Or another pullback, says Quantum. We'll see it on Twitter. Let me see Twitter. I haven't seen Twitter in a while. Looks like it's still trying to break down through the lows. It looks to me like it's trying to take out this trend here. You could see it trying to get on up there. If it takes out 43, it could probably take out the low over here of 41. Master of stonks. You can't be taking my levels like that. Nah, just joking with you. Can't go wrong. There's 127. All right, let's see what Disney's at. I do like this name, so let's take a look here. Disney. Can we get a little bit of a pullback here so I can get in here? 55s, 20s, 55 10s. Looking at it right now. Let me go ahead and pull this up here on my brokerage here. Get ready for this. I want to take the trade for you guys, but make sure that I'm not overextending myself. It's not going to be a lot. I mean, it's expensive stock, so let me see how much I can get here today. All right, so we're seeing a little bit of sideways, up, down, up, second up, 3 up, pulled back right now to 55.20s. I don't think I'm going to get maybe a touch there, but I'm looking for the touch right now to go ahead and get long there. It'd be off of the 55s for the downside. All right, getting that pullback right now to test the 20s. Can it test the 25 here, test the 20s, and then reverse back up, and then we'll get long here. We'll see what happens in Disney. And who knows, maybe I get AB to come back and take a YOLO on this too. We'll see. We'll see. Let's go ahead, guys. If you guys got some other stocks, I'll definitely cover them also. I don't want to just only stay on Disney today, but it's one that I'm watching for January 1st push. All right, there's 7,300s that just went through at 155.36. So let them test down towards the 20 and then reverse there. Get it back up through the 36. Going to give us that bullish sign to get long there. Maybe a big buyer stepping up there. 7,300 shares. That's a lot. All right, seeing that 55.30 show up on the ask. Just paying attention here. So if I can get long here. Leslie wants to take a look at Prague. I'll take a look at Prague. Netflix, we just went over. Let's take a look at Prague. Was a former runner. Has made a run on up there, but retraced all that big move that you pushed on up. It's not really holding the levels. So you saw that push towards 220, but you went all the way back down towards the trend. You don't want to see that. That's not the idea. The idea is for it to kind of hold the trend, right? And so this actually breaks all the way down through that level that you broke out of. So that to me is not a trend if it retraces the whole 100% of the move. So to me, it's a no touch. All right, guys, starting to see this Disney start pushing to the 36. Let's go ahead and take a little bit here at the 36. I'm going to take a little bit here to start. Got the starter on here, 155.36. Let's go back to Disney here so I can show you guys that trade. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and cancel this out. I'm going to go ahead and draw a circle exactly where I got in right now at that 36 level. It's going to be right on this candle. Now we're going to look for this to kind of hold the pullback here, the pullback to 55.12s. We don't want to see 55.11 break down. We're looking for a breakout above the highs here, 55.43s. Once we get through there, we're going to look for some volume to add at 55.50s. Look for that to flow through on the time and sales, showing you that it is getting that pump on up. Disney, we'll see if it can get this breakout right here. Up there to 55.40s. Look for the 43s to kind of bring some volume as it gets through 55.50. All right, guys, how we doing out there? AB, you ready to get back on? Ready to see my Disney trade? I'm trying to make some money here. But how about ChargePoint? T more long-term? Yeah, I like T long-term. But let's take a look here at some of these stocks that you guys are talking about. ChargePoint is one that I like. There's a little push there at the 50s. Volume coming in there, 2,460 shares getting through there at 55.50. That shows me that some buyers are stepping up there at the 50s. It could have been that same buyer that stepped up there at 55.36. So now he has about 10,000 shares. So now I'm looking for the momentum to continue. We don't want VWAP to break now. We want the VWAP to start pushing on up there and holding VWAP on any pullbacks. Let's see if we can get towards the next level of resistance. This is when I start using 15 minutes or an hourly chart to show me where the next resistance can come into play, right? So where can our profits start going? So we can start looking at this level, 155.77 as the first resistance. After that, I would look for the next level up that gets on up towards a level of 156.15 or 156. So we'll see how this reacts at 155.50s, then gets on up through there. Then we'll look for 155.77s to break through. If not, we could take our first profit there and look for the continued momentum. What's going on out there? Why GME over AMC? I can't remember the last time I bought a game in person. Still go to the movies. Are you talking from a trading perspective only or business perspective? I'll tell you right now, 100% on the trading perspective, not the long-term perspective. Don't worry, Roy. I'm not crazy about AMC or GME, but I trade. And if there's a trade to be made, sometimes you got to take it.
100%, Mitch. Agreed.
Right? I mean, that's how it is, AB. If there's a trade to be made, sometimes you just got to take it. It's not about being on one side. And, one thing I'm not trying to do here is start a cult. I'm trying to trade. So to me, it's about where the opportunities lie. If there's opportunities, then as a trader, you should be flexible enough to take those kinds of positions. We are traders. This is the only way we work, It's not about the negative or the upside. I mean, if you're long-term a company, that's different completely. Investing is completely different than, let's say, day trading or swing trading. Completely two different games. All right, guys, we're getting up there towards the 155.70s. We got up there towards 155.70s. Let's see if 77 holds here as resistance or it breaks through that level. If it holds at resistance, we can take half of it off at 155.50 and just try to let the rest of it work here. But I'm looking for the continued momentum up. So let's see if this can continue moving up. I know that some people talked about how this is being mentioned on another network. Won't mention it, but we'll definitely see how Disney reacts. I think it's a good trade going into the next year. I know that a lot of people were looking to call the dip on this, and I think this is what exactly is happening on Disney. We'll see if this can hold VWAP and continue making a move up.
All right, and then just to give a quick breakdown of the rest of the show, we are going to do, Jonathan's asking about crypto. We will do a quick crypto update. We can go ahead and do that now. And then at 1:30, Tim Kloss from Market Structure Edge will be joining us. We'll be talking about some market sentiment and market structure. So always some good information coming out of Tim. But let's go ahead and let me get my screen pulled up and we can go ahead and do a quick crypto update. Not going to be a pretty one today. I'll tell you guys that much.
Hey, well, what can we say? Sometimes there's buying opportunities when there's red, right?
100%.
I mean, crypto is something definitely to watch for moving forward. But let us know. What's the crypto update?
Let's do it. All right, y'all. This is your crypto update brought to you by Voyager. Taking a look at this heat map, it is a sea of red out there. Every crypto on our heat map is in the red today.
Ouch.
Bitcoin down nearly 8%. Ethereum also in line pretty much with Bitcoin. You can see some of the bigger losers. Shiba down more than 12%. Avalanche down more than 10%. Nothing, it really seems to be showing relative strength. I mean, you have some that are down less than others. Binance coin is only down nearly 6%. But hey, it's crypto. This is what crypto does. It goes up, it goes down. Big red day for crypto. If you're looking to add to some of your long-term, Ethereum positions, today might be a good day to do that. But we'll be keeping our eye on this for the rest of the week because if we do see a continued downtrend in crypto, it could get pretty ugly fast. So just keep your eye out for this. I know I'm going out there and I'm looking to buy some dips, so I might add to my Ethereum position today. Again, just not a great day for crypto overall. But if you're looking to get in, like I said, today's a good day to do so. And you can use this code ZING, Z-I-N-G, for $50 free in Bitcoin on Voyager when you deposit $100 or more and make your first trade. So I don't know who doesn't want $50 free Bitcoin, especially on a day like today where it's down 8%. So go ahead and use that code, create an account on Voyager, get $50 worth of free Bitcoin using the code ZING. All right, y'all. And one more time, smash that like. We got Money Mitch joining us from Live Trading. He was there for about 2 hours and then hopped over here. So Mitch is just grinding today. He's keep going. So smash the like for Money Mitch. He'll be back with us in a minute. Let's take a look at chat. Adam sold a MSTR call. That's going great. Good job.
Those crypto stocks have been destroyed lately. We can talk a little bit about those if you want.
Yeah, let's go ahead
with
and
that MSTR.
We'll pull up MSTR.
Still long Disney, guys. Still long Disney. We'll see when we get on out of this. I took this one because you guys out there smashed the like button. So appreciate you guys pushing me over the edge on Disney. So we'll see what happens on Disney. But let's take a look at some of these crypto stocks. So some of the stocks that have been mentioned, right? What do you think was the best crypto stock this year? Just take a guess, AB. I don't know. Voyager?
Not Mara. I don't know.
No, I mean, not a bad guess. Voyager or Mara. You know, which Voyager sticker again? I know it's a longer one.
VYGVF.
It's too long, guys. Come on. Make that easier. Voyager, not a bad. It went up to 30s. That's not a bad move, right? Let's take a look at Mara. Mara was another one. That one went up from 2021 all the way up to 80. That was a pretty significant move. That was about a 70-point move for the year. So definitely crazy move in Mara. Let's take a look at Hut. Hut was another one that made a monster move in 2021. If you look at that one, that was about a 13.65 point move, but that's a 423% move. So definitely had big days. But now if you look in the last 2 months, these have been going down massively. If you look at from like November 1st time, or you could say this November 9th, it really just started cracking down. Same thing you can see in Mara. You see this 8th November, it just started breaking down everywhere. Let's take a look at Riot. Riot, you can see the same thing. November goes to that 8th period and then just break down. So until these can really come back into favor, I think what we need to see is kind of crypto come back into favor, because I feel like crypto's been kind of sideways for a little bit here. It has huge ranges, but a lot of sideways action. What are you thinking, AB? Do you think this is more due to the Bitcoin or more due to investors in Bitcoin stocks?
I think it's both. I think, you know, anytime you see continued strength or continued weakness in the crypto markets, you can see that reflected in these mining stocks. But with that being said, you know, even when we had that last run up, it doesn't look like we broke previous all-time highs. So maybe that's just showing that a little bit of interest in these crypto stocks has been waning. But again, I mean, there are a million different ways to play crypto out there, right? You can buy and trade the actual cryptocurrencies. You can buy and trade the crypto stocks. You can buy and trade NFTs. It all depends on really just what fits your appetite best. Like for people that really want to sit there and kind of day trade crypto, you have to be very active. You have to be looking at charts, you know, all the time. Personally, I just have a recurring investment into Ethereum that goes out like every 2 weeks and just puts a certain amount of money into Ethereum.
Definitely, it's something to watch. I mean, one of the things is how do you invest into crypto? Is it the reoccurring like you just talked about? Or am I picking levels like technically trying to judge the charts? I think honestly, I think in the long term, I think it might be something like a lot of traders kind of get to the point where they invest in the S&P and they just kind of reoccur into the S&P. I'm wondering if this is how it's going to be with Bitcoin going into January 1st. Are we going to see a little bit of a lift in crypto? Because some people start taking it and adding it as a reoccurring investment. We'll see what happens. I think that could come into play. So we could see these change kind of the trend. But I think I want to see these Bitcoin stocks change first. Also, the Bitcoin, like overall, the coins start going into the green. And then I'll be jumping right back into these baskets.
100% agreed.
All right, let's go ahead. Let's go into one last basket here, probably before we get Tim Quast on. I wanted to get into the EV basket. Why? Because I feel like it's the most important trade that there could be for next year, right? I mean, there's so many of these. We could talk about Lucid. We could talk about Tesla. We could talk about Fisker. We could talk about even stocks like Arrival, bus stocks. There's a lot of electric EV trade going on. Name your favorite out there, guys, and we'll kind of touch them. So if you guys got a favorite in EV, definitely throw it up in the chat. Do you got a favorite, AB?
I'll tell you what I like right now in the EV space. I like the charging infrastructure plays, right? Because we've talked about this, that how many gas stations there are out there. There are about, I want to say 500,000 gas stations out there in the United States. And once we see EVs continue, as we see EVs continue to grow, we'll need those charging stations to be all around the country like we have gas stations. So to me right there, that's one of the best opportunities. You have different names out there. ChargePoint, obviously one of them. You have Plug Power. Give me some other names. You got ChargePoint, Plug Power. Those are the two. FuelCell, are they? Or no, FuelCell is just more pure battery, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's more pure battery. You can look at EVgo as another one. This one's an interesting one. Now down towards the 980s. Really nice pullback towards a level that I could see it holding and getting back above 10. I think you got to see these start to trend. But definitely EVgo, ChargePoint are two that I'll be definitely watching. I know there's one more major one.
Oh, Blink.
Blink. There you go. Blink is another good one to definitely take a look at. But I'd be watching these because at the end of the day, there's going to be one winner. So I think what you need to watch is when does the trend kind of change? Because there was a point in time when all EV was going up, and that's where you saw this trend happen in ChargePoint. The moment that we started the trend coming down when Rivian came out and Lucid turned around and Fisker turned around and NIO turned around, XPEV, all these turned around, that's when you started seeing these come back down too. So I'm looking for these to kind of give us a signal of it coming back up. And then you could also look at the EVs to give us signals of it coming back up. Lucid would be definitely one to keep on watch. And then you could also watch, LCID. You could also watch Fisker as another one that I'd be watching too. When is this going to turn back around to the positive? It's been pulling back ever since that. And that was all based off of a catalyst that was for the Las Vegas kind of auto convention. So we'll see how these EVs perform now. But I do like your charging station. Some that I would talk about are the LiDAR plays, right? Who's going to win in LiDAR? Is definitely important. LiDAR plays are like LEDR. This is AI. You could look at AVA, AEVA. See when this one comes back. There's LAZR. LAZR has that partnership with NVIDIA. Could have a great deal going on there. And there's other ones. There's Ouster. Ouster has a lot of people on the internet have tried to explain to me why Ouster is the best one out of all of them, but I don't see it showing up on the chart. But hey, who knows? That doesn't mean that it can't turn around. So definitely take a look at these autonomous auto plays.
100%. Yeah. Again, so we've got some good ideas being thrown out in the chat. Jim Habash is saying home builders will outperform EV. Use ALB as a proxy for EV. Watch home builders. That is a need. So some good ideas there too. If you're looking for some home builder stocks, Home Depot, WFG, TMHC. What other industries are you guys looking forward to in 2022? We talked about EVs, we talked about crypto. Those are two of the big ones. But we saw, speaking of home building, we saw throughout the year, this year, home builders get very hot. If you pull up a ticker like Nail, right, you can see just how crazy that went for a while. So I'm looking for those trends in 2022, seeing what we can find that is going to be like, okay, this is going to be the hottest sector and it doesn't have to be for the whole year. It's just about like what will get hot at some point in 2022. And then you can play that, right? Let's see. Victor is saying he would put money into AutoZone, etc., versus an EG charging. Yeah, that's not a bad play. We've had the car parts CEO and COO on a few times, and so there are a lot of.
I talked about AutoNation today. There was interesting comments made by them in October. They pretty much were trying to. I'll say it nicely. They pretty much knocked down the new car companies, saying that they probably still aren't going to be able to meet the supply demands really that are out there. Supply issues are really concerning here. So let's take a look at what AutoNation said. AutoNation said they had 5,000 new cars in inventory when last year at the same date they had 52,000 new cars. So That's a huge difference. That just shows you how bad the supply issues are. if they only have 5,000 compared to 52,000, 10 times less the vehicles than they had last year to sell. Now, the vehicles are selling at a huge premium. Now, that is helping a stock like AutoNation still make more money selling less cars. So that's something to definitely keep in mind. So for me, AutoNation still looks positive because it is selling these cars for a higher price. Like their used cars, they all went up in value. And this is something that's never happened to AutoNation. So I'm sure they're enjoying being able to sell cars that went up in value in their appraisal.
Yeah, I mean, and that's another bullish, potentially bullish catalyst for those, you know, whether it's car parts, AutoZone, whatever. People are going to be more likely to go out and buy parts to fix up their cars because they can't go out and buy a new car right now because they're so expensive. So that was one thing that we talked about with the car parts executives, just such an increase in people that are searching for new car parts. I think it's PRTS is the ticker for car
this
parts.
Is another one. IB is another one. I know that one. PRTS. There you go. Car parts.
Yeah. So this one, I mean, I don't know. The chart doesn't look great here, but I think if we, you know, all it takes is a couple positive catalysts, and then if we see that reversal coming in, then I like car parts.
Yeah, definitely. It's not a bad one to watch. I mean, if we're going to continue to see these used cars take control, we'll definitely watch. Jim, I know that AutoZone chart really does impress me too. I know. AutoZone is an impressive chart. I think that's AZN.
AZO.
AZO. There you go. That's what it was. Look at that. Look at that thing, man. The thing's
that's just a freaking
monster. And this is on the monthly. So look at the weekly. Look at that. This has been taking off in 2021. A lot of that supply issues. So one thing to note, right, is that the supply chain issues were talked about in early 2021. So you had an opportunity to find these stocks all throughout the year. This is why it's important to focus on these industries, looking for industry moves like this, because it really does change the outlook of stocks. And when stories change, I feel like that's when you get the biggest, let's say, trend changing moments in stocks. When, let's say, a stock was really loved, then a really negative catalyst comes out. Then it comes out of favor and it gets knocked down. Or a stock that's out of favor, all of a sudden get a good positive catalyst, like we saw Lucid at one point this year, get a positive catalyst of their positive deliveries. And then boom, what happened to the stock? The story came back and it started ripping on up. So that's why it's important to follow these stories and try to find moments like this. Like if you saw supply chain issues, don't think, what stock do I need to find? Use the industries to work backwards. So you could have pulled a bunch of different auto stocks and then looked at them, see what was performing better. Was it the used car sales ones? Was it the auto parts ones like AB is talking about? Was it Ford or was it GM? Were these guys outselling everybody? And that could have given you the sign that, hey, auto parts, used car sales, those are the kind of businesses I want to be looking at right now. And you could have got this AutoZone and made a great gain. All right, let's go ahead. We're getting towards almost 130. I'm still long on this Disney. It got up to the first resistance, 155.77 that I called out, but I didn't want to take profits on that. I was a little bit greedy. I have such small share size that it doesn't make sense for me to take the profits right there. I'm still holding off the VWAP on Disney. We'll see if it can get back above that 155.77. But for me, it's going to be break even on the rest, and we'll see if it can get back above.
Okie dokie. Sorry, just catching up on the chat here. Quantum saying he's buying dips on commodities to hedge inflation. Oil, interesting.
I like that one.
Yeah. Adam's asking about Unity. I've been scaling in for long run as price hanging out near 20-week moving average. Seems like a great metaverse play. Yeah. Unity. I think Unity is in my metaverse ETF or my metaverse index.
I hope so. If not, we'll get it in there, right? Unity is a stock that it has everything in its favor for it to continue moving. The story is there too. And this one has been there for a while. I mean, since the IPO, a lot of people liked Unity. When it was here at 100 was the interesting spot where it was going sideways and started breaking out. It went from 100 essentially to that 200 spot. So pullback here towards the 150 area is really not that bad, because you're a little bit over 50% retracement, but it's not past the 61.8. So I'd still be looking for this one as long as it can hold that 133s on downside and can get back above 160. But definitely it does have the metaverse play in it, and it's essentially gives you a platform, right? I mean, what Unity has also is a platform that can help you create the games that you want to make, that kind of thing, that kind of content that you're trying to create in the metaverse. Unity can help you do so. All right, what else we got here mentioning in? It looks like some people are talking about gold. Gold, man. I don't think I've ever really kept gold for longer than a day, but that's just how it goes. I mean,
yeah, I'm not really a fan of trading gold. I think they're
right?
essentially, there are always better investment opportunities in gold out there.
That's how I feel too, AB. Don't worry.
And people that are like gold bugs that'll tell you like, oh my God, the US dollar is worthless. It's going to zero. You got to buy gold. It's like,
look
come
at
on,
this.
man.
Look at this chart. Look at this chart. For like 3 years, what has it done? If I would have bought this back in 2016, I'd be right at the same price. I don't want to be buying stocks like that.
I will say it is cool to have like, I would maybe eventually want like 1 bar of gold. That'd be really cool to have.
Yeah. Like I always say, if you want gold, go to Gold Rush. Go to Alaska, go dig for some gold. You'll probably get some before you get some from trading these stocks, but we'll see. Hey, I know some people still like gold.
Yeah. Again, I mean, yeah, you can trade anything as long as you're just trading. I just don't. Again, I think there are always like better investment opportunities out there other than gold. Let's see.
It's not spicy.
I don't know. Is it normal? How big is a normal gold bar? Is it an ounce? Maybe I'll get an ounce of gold then. Who knows?
No, I don't think it's an ounce. I think, an ounce of gold is very, very tiny. Gold is actually pretty heavy.
Standard.
So you got to be careful.
Bar. A standard gold
1
bar
kilogram?
is 400 ounces or 25 pounds.
25 pounds. Not bad.
That sounds pretty cool. Like if I just had 1 gold bar in my house, that'd be pretty cool.
That's like having a real Bitcoin, right?
Exactly. Yeah, Fed meetings, quantum SAM SPY puts. I don't know. Every time there's been a Fed announcement or meeting recently, you'd be better being on the long side than the short side.
Right? I mean, the SPY's still holding. It's just going sideways today. That's not a bad thing. We ripped yesterday. We melted up. And so when you see those melt ups, sideways action is what you want to see, not downward action. That's kind of what we're getting today. Just sideways action. Hasn't really broken back down below the 475s where I'd start getting a little bit concerned of pullbacks. Right now, it's holding up in the top region of the price action. So it's still looking good here.
Yep. I mean, look, we have a full trading week this week, though, right? The market's not closed on Friday or anything?
No, it's not. I mean, we are technically off, but no, the market's not closed. The market doesn't want to close this week.
I like that.
And normally you would get the New Year's Day off. We don't even get it this year because it falls on the weekend. So they're like, nah, you can come back on Monday. Don't worry about it. All right, looks like Ford being talked about in the chat. This is one of my favorite long-term charts right now, just because it's the way it's responding on the daily. If you take a look here, we've had multiple highs trying to get through this 2050. I talked about it yesterday that we got through that level and we closed above that. I wanted to make sure that we close above 2050 today. That's a good candle. As long as it can hold that above 2050, I think we can come back and take out this 2150 on Ford. It does look good. I love how it's been building up, going sideways, tested down 3 times to break down, and then on the 4th time you get a huge reversal. So you could take a look here, kind of draw out kind of when you see these attempted to support touches, and then you can see how these kind of breaks are really important to watch. When you get those touches, look for the 3rd or 4th touch to create a huge reversal. That's what you get right here. When it comes down towards the 4th touch right here on the support, you get a quick reaction right back up, reclaiming price action. That's a good level to look at. Now I'm seeing Ford, and I just want to see it continue to hold on the trend, because this is supposed to be the breakout. After the fourth move, you shouldn't really get back towards the support. You should be continuing that move on up. Sideways consolidation, building up the volume here. Let's see if some buyers step up at 21 tomorrow, and then we get that lift through to up there towards the 2150s.
100%. Yeah, this was, if you guys recall, if you were here with us this time last year, Luke gave Ford as his 2021 stock of the year. Hopefully we'll get Luke on maybe sometime today or tomorrow, and he'll give us his 2022 stock of the year. But yeah, Ford has just been an absolute monster. Again, this is a good name if you're looking to just get some exposure to the EV market. I really do think that Ford Lightning, the electric pickup truck, is just going to be an absolute hit, because you have some competitors out there, whether it's Rivian, whether it's the Tesla Cybertruck, but Ford's technology and production capabilities seems to be far and away ahead of its competitors. So definitely looking for some strong sales of that EV pickup truck.
Agreed. I mean, at the end of the day, it's one of the best trucks there is. If they're able to figure it out, make it EV. There's no reason why the kind of Ford drivers before that are really heavy Ford drivers won't just stick with what Ford has to offer for them. All right, guys, we're getting towards that 1:30. It looks like we should have Tim Quast joining us pretty soon. We'll see when he gets on in here. We'll definitely bring him on. What I love about Tim Quast is that he focuses on supply and demand. And supply and demand is a lot of what the market really is. Some people try to think about that. How does that work? How does demand and supply work in stocks? It works exactly on what you're seeing a lot of times with short interest, the float, and how much people are really buying up the stock. So a lot of this you can ask Tim Quast when he comes on. We'll ask him some questions a little bit more about how supply and demand really works. But I can tell you right now, it has a huge part in understanding the rotations and when you're going to get these big swings in stocks. So I try to pay attention to the supply and demand. And what I do a lot of the times is I'm looking at I'm using different indicators to give me that description. And that's exactly what essentially market structure does. Just does it in an easier fashion than the way I do it, which is looking at a whole bunch of indicators to tell me how the stock's performing.
Yep.
Nicola.
Ping.
What's up with Nick? I shorted it yesterday. I should have kept that short, man. I think was looking good there. Let me look at it right now. Yeah, it did that little fake green to red move today. We'll see if Nicola can break through the 1060s here. It looks like if it breaks that, it's going to keep coming down to the next support. Next support I have down towards 1025. So it's an important price point definitely right now for Nicola. We'll see if it can break down through here. But I can't long this stock, man. I almost longed it yesterday, and I almost gave myself a quick whack. I was like, what were you thinking?
What about Ride? Whatever happened with Lordstown Motors? Where's that trading at right now?
I think that's looking worse than Nicola. Just to give you some kind of like what I think in perspective there. Ride is just a stock that's just keeps coming down. It's just a dying trend. I mean, take a look at it, right? I mean, since June, where you got this pop, what do you have? You just have a declining action. Every time it pops, what does it do? Pop, fade, pop, fade. So that means that every time it pops, it's running into sellers. People want out of this company. It doesn't pop and people are like, oh, let's load the boat, Ride going to the moon. No, it pops and they're like, man, finally I get to get the hell out of this company. And so they sell on the pops. And so we need to see one of these pops actually remain and hold the stock up, which we haven't seen. Ride is down towards $3.87. And I still don't think it's at a value where I would want to go long on it.
All right. I just pinged Tim Quast. Hopefully he'll be joining us here in a few minutes. If he doesn't, we may end a few minutes before 2 today, just because we got a busy day here at the office. And I know Mitch has been on stream for a while today already.
About 6 hours. Not too bad, right? We can keep going.
Yeah.
Looks like someone's talking about Lending Club. I haven't heard that stock being mentioned in a while.
We saw this stock like go crazy, and then it's kind of obviously come down off those highs.
Yeah, this is interesting. I'd probably look at this November period where it kind of pushed from, try to draw a trend line, see if we're holding it. And if you can see, through this period, we touched here on March, we touched here in May, then we actually lift off of it, and we're coming back near that. So you have the 50-day moving average right there at 2262. Right underneath it, you have that trend line where it goes into. I would look for it to run into that trend line and find that reversal. So for me, I need to see some sideways consolidation here. I would love to see a little bit of sideways consolidation. It touched down towards the trend line and then get back off of it going towards the 30s on the upside. Interesting stock. I mean, it's a credit service. A lot of these were suffering. I mean, if you look at SQ, you look at PayPal, those things have been getting crushed. I just wonder when they're going to come back. If you look at Visa, it's been holding on, and MasterCard's been holding on. So I've been wondering if those can bring those other stocks right back.
Yeah, Mitch has been on since pre-market prep. Go ahead and smash the like for money, Mitch, today. Just absolutely grinding. He's doing a marathon stream. He might go 24 hours.
You might as well. I mean, I'm already here, right? I mean, I'll just take you guys to the gym with me. But other than that, we could do 24 hours.
I love it.
Let's keep it going, man. There's only one way. BA, we kind of already covered Boeing. Boeing, it has a lot to do with what's going to happen with business travel. I think that is one of the biggest keys for Boeing next year. As business travel comes back, there's still going to be the need for big planes and more planes to be bought. But if business travel doesn't come back next year and it still is suffering and we're not seeing the business travel coming back like it used to, you're going to start seeing like what Joel says on pre-market prep, smaller planes and BA not doing the bigger planes, but maybe making smaller planes to kind of make up for the expenses.
Yeah, Beach Bum. We'll let you know once we'll do the real Money Mitch marathon. It'll come soon. Maybe once we get up to 150 subs on our YouTube, we'll do a 24-hour stream or something.
Yeah, I got to come back to the office one day. Maybe we can do it there in the office, 24-hour stream. I won't mind.
Geeta's asking about donut, Krispy Kreme.
Donuts? Where? I want some donuts.
Okay.
Can't go wrong with donuts. Let's take a look at D-Nut here, ripping, man. What is going on? What is going on with the D-Nut, man? Look at this stock. This thing.
Holy cow!
This is coming back, man. It's looking better than Hood. The D-Nut trying to get back above 1759 was a huge resistance for it. It was resistance back in September. We just got through that level today. So I would be watching that. I'd be looking at the hourly chart on this one. You can see how it's kind of stuttered right there. It went sideways, gave you two kind of harmy candles and then pushed on up through. That's because it was a resistance there and it kind of built up some volume to really give it that next level on up. I'd really be watching to see if we can continue rising in overall volume. So you could see here, you saw the change from the 22nd. The 22nd is right here. I'm going to draw a circle on it so you guys can see it. Right here is where we started changing and upsloping with the volume. Let's see if that upslope can keep coming. That can show you that the price action can continue on the lift and continue through that 19. We'll see if this one can continue moving today. D-Nut having a great day. I mean, really, you can't say anything about it.
Yeah, and Jeffrey pointing out, of course, this is a stock that used to be public, went private, and is now public again.
They sold out first, and then someone was thinking they could sell out again, I guess. But hey, double dipping.
All righty, guys. It's 1:38 right now. We're gonna give Tim Quast 2 more minutes. If he's not with us by 1:40, we're just gonna wrap the show a little early today, and we'll be back. Not tomorrow. Tomorrow we do have a big boot camp. So if you're newer to trading or you've been trading for a while and you're just looking to get better at it, I implore you guys to check out the boot camp. I'm going to go ahead and play our little bumper for it.
All right, guys. I'll definitely throw up the link here. And our boot camps are really all about trying to learn certain skills and features that can really up your skills on trading. We bring on different experts that have different expertise to really kind of get, maybe it's one skill that you need to improve on. That's really what the boot camps are about. It's about building up those skills and trying to take you to that next level. So if you want to join us tomorrow, I'll be there, definitely in the chat, doing a little bit of trading also, but watching, because I learned from these just like you guys can.
Beautiful. All right, y'all. We'll see y'all tomorrow on the boot camp. That'll be a wrap for us today. One last time, please smash the like and subscribe if you have not already. And peace and love. Happy trading.
We'll see you guys on At the Close.
Peace.